John McDermott. It's a free in for Dublin. Vinnie Murphy getting there quickly, giving it out to Charlie Redmond. Just keep an eye for John McDermott. There's the challenge. Third man challenge. Had to be a free. That's the angle that faces Charlie Redmond. Oh, he hit it well. Very well. 2 points for Charlie Redmond. 2 points for Dublin. It's really a game of tactics at the moment. It looks now like Colm O'Rourke is playing at full forward for Meath and Brian Stafford playing top of the right. This is Colm with Dermot Deasy right beside him. Looks for a little bit of support. Jody Devine is there once more. Giving it to Brian Stafford. Outside him is Graham Garrity. Opportunity for a point here. Garrity well blocked down by Dermot Harrington. And that's out for a 45. That's what Brian Stafford is facing. Didn't really get behind it. It comes to Tommy Dowd. Onto the old famous right leg, and it's as good as ever. The right thumb might be broken, but the right foot is very much on full power. Once all the way back to Graham Garrity, but Tommy Howard gives a free to Dublin and to Jack Sheedy. Vinnie Murphy, he has this technique of being behind his man and then suddenly appearing and going in front. Charlie Redmond going for his third point of this Leinster semi-final. And so far so good. Once more he finds the target, and at the moment it's 3 points to 1. Brian Stafford, ball into space for Tommy Dowd to run onto. Chasing after him is Paddy Moran to Colm O'Rourke. The build-up may be slow, but the finish is as good as always. Colm O'Rourke makes it 3 points to 2, and that was a splendid, patient build-up by Meath. And really, Dublin must have palpitations when this man gets the ball, because nearly always from that side of the field he's able to swing it over. Keith Barr gathering, sending it into space onto Jim Gavin. McQuillan is coming. And McQuillan does well, but he loses out to Vinnie Murphy. Back outside Niall Guyden, goalkeeper, trying to get back into position, but it still goes over the bar. It was well won by Keith Barr, who sent the ball in goal-bound. It was a dangerous ball, but McQuillan was bravely coming out, but lost possession. That's the slippery conditions that I mentioned earlier. Back out towards Niall Guyden, and despite the pressure from Graham Garrity, swung it over the bar. Colm O'Rourke being fouled, says referee. So another free for Meath. So that gives a very good idea of what Brian Stafford is facing. Not alone the goalpost, but Hill 16 as well. And he floats it beautifully over the bar. Brian Stafford's first point after 22.5 minutes of play brings Meath a little bit closer. And it's Graham Garrity again, giving it to Colm O'Rourke. Back to Graham Garrity. Remember, he's the right half-back, bursting his way through. A goal, but the referee has blown his whistle. The referee has blown his whistle, and Graham Garrity says, for what? But Tommy Howard, I think, felt that Graham overcarried and too many steps gave a free out. Again, it was the right half-back who is easily the star so far. Way too many steps, didn't solo, didn't hop, and when he did at that stage, Tommy Howard had blown the whistle. Paddy Moran, a little bit of inexperience showing. John McDermott gives it to Tommy Dowd. And again, the Meath forward just a little bit slow in support. And an easy one for John O'Leary, who leaves it behind him. And Brian Stafford is there. And certainly the showers in Dublin this morning had an effect on the Croke Park pitch, making it quite slippy. Here comes Colin Brady. And Colm O'Rourke did well to gather possession with that sort of a hospital pass. It's O'Rourke putting Dermot Deasy out of the way and putting it over the bar. Colm O'Rourke, his second point of the match in his 54th championship match for Meath. And they thought in Meath he was going to retire.
Well, clearly plenty of life left in Colm yet. Vincent Murphy added another first half point to give Dublin the advantage, 5 points to 4 as we rejoin it in the second half.
As this second half commences, Dublin make one change. Paul Beelan is now playing at centre half forward. And will it be sufficient for Dublin to maintain their lead? Remember, Meath in this second half now playing with wind advantage, slight though it may be. Tommy Dowd giving it to John McDermott in front of the posts. Oh, that's a lovely point. 20 seconds of play in the second half, and Dublin and Meath are level. Tommy Dowd giving it to John McDermott, and he had all the time in the world, despite a late challenge, to put that one over. Eamon Heary. He's fouled, so it's a free for Dublin. Keith Barr has taken over the free-taking duties. And lashes one in. Paul Beelan knocking it back. Guyden giving it to Charlie Redmond, and Dublin are back in front. Charlie Redmond gets his 4th point of this Leinster semi-final. And once more the Hill are alive. Goes straight through Pat Gilroy's hands and comes instead to PJ Gillick. Dermot Deasy staying on Colm O'Rourke for this second half. Jack Sheedy challenged and a bit over the top by PJ Gillick. And referee Tommy Howard wants to have a word with PJ Gillick, and he's booking the Meath centre half forward and becomes the second Meath player to be booked in this match. Barr. Vinnie Murphy getting the break. Charlie Redmond available, but Vinnie decides to hold on to possession. And now gives it to Charlie. And that's a lovely score. Excellent point by Charlie Redmond. Easily his best so far. And the people on the Hill are once more satisfied with their darling from Erin's Isle. Vinnie Murphy. It looked as if he had overcarried it, and Charlie was available all the time. And from a long way out, just inside the Meath 45, he floated that over McQuillan's crossbar. Mark O'Connell, knocked down by David Beggy. Brian Stafford. Graham Geraghty is available to his right. This is Geraghty. PJ Gillick. Brian Stafford once more. Good covering by Dublin. A ball in more hope than anything else, which Jody Devine does well to win. Now he's fouled, and he wins a free. That's good play. A ball really that Jody Devine shouldn't have won. He did exceptionally well to gather it and then hold on to it before being fouled. Brian Stafford. And he sends it wide. Meath's 7th wide in this semi-final. And that's a very bad miss. It could be crucial in the final analysis. Jack Sheedy. Keith Barr. And again, it's Vinnie Murphy with the high ball that wins the battle. And he's also almost able to score a point. It looked as if it was going to curl. Goes back to Paul Beelan. Great run by Jack Sheedy, bursting his way through, giving it to Charlie Redland. Oh, what a goal! Now that is magic. Charlie has now got 1 goal and 5 points in this semi-final. And that was easily the highlight so far. A brilliant Dublin goal. Colin Brady sends a ball up towards David Beggy. Now can Meath respond? This is PJ Gillick bursting his way through, giving it to Colm O'Rourke. 2 Dublin players around him. Back outside to Graham Geraghty. Knocked away, Dermot Deasy. Good play by Geraghty, who wins it back. This fella is a good footballer. He's going to be put out for 45 perhaps. The referee saw a challenge that was more of an elbow than a shoulder, and Meath get the free. Now this is a vital kick for Meath. And Brian Stafford puts it over. And it keeps Meath in touch. Comes back to Paul Curran. That's a free. Jody Devine being fouled. Martin O'Connell. Oh, well won by Jack Sheedy. Sends it over for Graham Geraghty and Niall Guyton. And that is going to be a free. Line ball rather for Meath. Colin Brady. Tommy Dowd, picked up by Colm O'Rourke, bursting his way through, onto the left boot, and once more it's Colm O'Rourke that comes to his side's rescue. Now, just 3 points between the sides. Ball came in from Colin Brady. It was a good, intelligent ball, a low ball for Tommy Dowd to run onto. And Tommy did well to win it. The break fell kindly for Colm. And look at that, out of my way, Paddy Moran. Put up the white flag. Great fielding by John McDermott. Good ball in towards Colm O'Rourke and Dermot Deasy. And Deasy being held back by Colm O'Rourke, and it's a free for John O'Leary. Quickly taken to Niall Guyton. Well blocked down by Graham Geraghty, picked up by Colm O'Rourke, and he floats one of these O'Rourke specials, and John O'Leary can only look up and wave as it goes over the bar. 4 points for Colm O'Rourke. 2 points between the sides. Niall Guyton was a little bit casual. Graham Geraghty knocked it down, and O'Rourke, just watch this, a master at work, floating it beautifully. It's harem scarum stuff, and eventually the referee decides it's going to be a hot ball. John McDermott to Martin O'Connell. A ball into space aimed at Colm O'Rourke. Giving it outside to David Beggy. And he loves to run at the Dublin defence. Giving it outside to Stafford. To PJ Gillick. And that is straight over the bar. His first point in this Leinster semi-final, made by a combination of the veterans from Meath, but they're far from over the hill. It was O'Rourke that ultimately set it up, giving it to David Beggy. And these boys can move when they want to. And he had to work very hard before giving it out to Brian Stafford. All the Dublin backs seem to converge back out to PJ Gillick and over the bar. At the other end, it's Kevin Foley to John McDermott. Well gathered by Pat Gilroy. This is good movement by Dublin. Paul Curran. And that too goes to the right and wide. 7 wides for Dublin in this match so far. Some pushing there, and a free for the Dubs. Keith Barr with this free. Dropping it dangerously in. Does he foul? But referee spotted the foul for some pushing there. Gives the free to Meath. Well won by Jody Devine. Brian Stafford. Giving it in towards Tommy Dowd. Sending a ball which is just to the left and wide. Well punched away, picked up by Keith Barr. Driving it up towards Paul Beelan. Well won by John McDermott. Giving it to his midfield partner, Colm Brady. Colm O'Rourke. Getting away from Kieran Walsh. And gone inside is Graham Geraghty, but Colm O'Rourke was fouled and the referee has blown his whistle. But wonderful running off the ball by Graham Geraghty. Once more, it is Colm O'Rourke that's causing problems for the Dublin defence. This time it is Kieran Walsh that's trying to keep him under control. And eventually, down he goes. This time, Brian Stafford makes no mistake. It's 3 points for Brian Stafford. And it keeps Meath very much right beside Dublin. Graham Geraghty gets a fist to it. Keith Barr bursting his way forward. And yet another free for Dublin. Quickly taken and intercepted by Graham Geraghty. The look of the green, and that's a lovely ball in towards Tommy Dowd, who's now been more mobile out around the half-forward line. Gets it across to Colm Brady. It was a terrible pass to PJ Gillick. Going for the equaliser, and he's done it! PJ Gillick, his second of the afternoon, and the Carnaross man puts the hopes and spirit of Meath very much back on top. Tommy Dowd, now coming out around the half-forward line, created a space. It was a terrible ball, which Colin Brady did exceptionally well to gather it, gave it back to PJ Gillick, and straight over. Down towards Niall Guyton. It's everything to play for once more. That's a free in for a foul there on Mick Galvin, who's just been introduced as a substitute. Charlie hitting it straight in through, and it puts Dublin back in front by just 1 point. And time meanwhile ticking away. 32 minutes gone in the second half. Vinny this time has it, giving it back outside to Niall Guyton. A point here could possibly ensure victory, but not with that sort of an effort. Martin O'Connell. Meath need possession now. Colm O'Rourke is tearing out for it. Keith Barr tries to get there first and succeeds, giving it down towards Paul Curran. A poor ball from Paul, giving it back to Johnny McDermott into the middle, but gathering it easily is Eamon Heary to Paul Curran. Switching play into space. Enda McManus doing well, gathers it second time round, and is fouled in a free. And that's silly stuff out of Vinnie Murphy. An extra few metres for Meath. Quickly taken to PJ Gillick. Are we going to have another dramatic equaliser? A ball over towards big Brian Stafford. Dermot Deasy trying to gather it, but Brian Stafford didn't pick it up, says referee. Gives it across to Colin Brady. Tension mounting in Croke Park. An optimistic ball which gathered by Tommy Dowd. He looked for his free and he didn't get it. Charlie Redmond, annoyed at PJ Gillick, and right in front of the referee, decides to sort matters out himself. Knocked down to Niall Guyton, and for too many steps gives possession away. That really should be an extra few metres for throwing the ball away. Bobby O'Malley sending it up towards PJ Gillick, knocked away for foul. It's a free in for Meath. Cool matters down. Leave it down, says Colm O'Rourke. They're arguing over inches as Brian Stafford, he's looking for a quick one. To Colm O'Rourke from way out the field. Is it another equaliser? It is! The man from screen has done it once more. The saga continues in Croke Park. Colm O'Rourke's fifth point levels the match after 35 minutes of play in the second half. Brian Stafford giving a quick ball to Colm O'Rourke. Only he would try from just inside the Dublin 45 to put it over John O'Leary's crossbar. We're into injury time in Croke Park. And here come Dublin. Niall Guyton giving it back to Pat Gilroy. It's up to Tom Howard. Can Dublin avail of it? Charlie Redmond, well blocked down by O'Malley. If he never did anything else, he did well to get that one. And Jack Sheedy sends it over. Incredible stuff in Croke Park, and everybody is on their feet, not alone the hill but all around. The referee blows the final whistle. Jack Sheedy scores the winner in injury time. Dublin get revenge over their arch rivals and surely make up in the sweetest way possible for the defeat 2 years ago. The National League champions survive. Meath are stunned, but it matters little. It's a Kildare-Dublin Leinster final. The final score, Dublin 1 goal and 10 points, Meath 12 points.
More long-serving players in the team.
It was still a final to be won against Kildare. Today was particularly sweet because we got the point the last minute as opposed to 91 when they got the point the last minute, which everyone knows about. But at the same time, it's only semi-final. We don't win any prizes for today, we win prizes for the next day.
Yeah, it goes a long way to get rid of any thoughts or doubts about Dublin and Meath from a Dublin person's point of view, and it was a good victory.
We have come through a big test. Over the years, Meath have been our bogey team, to put it one way. The game between the two was very close, very hard, very competitive, like today. And as Sean Boylan said in the dressing room, look, you can have no better preparation for Leinster final than today.
We had worked it quite well up the field, and Charlie was super quick thinking, and he just chipped it across to me. I got it and kicked it over the bar, and it worked out very well.
I thought the referee was going to flow it up again, but thankfully he didn't. And even when Jack was kicking the ball over the bar, I was giving out to Jack because I thought he should have passed it on to Paul Curran. And he looked at me with a wry smile just after it went over, and he just gave me a little wink, and I said no more.
What about Sean Boylan? This is your 11th championship campaign. Is this the end?
Sean Boylan's a young man, but I am getting tired of long summer holidays, Marty. Okay.
You're going to stay at it?
Well, I wouldn't even think about that, Marty. I'm that sort of man. It's you know, today I'll be thinking of the players and what they've gone through, the commitment that they've given to it, and it's their game. Unfortunately, my legs are too old. I can't play. I'm not able to play it. I can tell them what to do, maybe, but I'm not having the legs. Are not able to do it themselves.
Are you confident that you can win the Leinster title?
Well, in the position that I'm in, you have to be confident that you're going to win it, because I mean it's part of your job to instill that confidence into the players. However, in the past, Dublin have done well against Kildare, but it's a whole new ball game when you go out there in a Leinster final. There's no point in dwelling on romantic history.
I saw when I asked Pat O'Neill that question, Mick O'Dwyer, there was a little smile, a little Kerry smile.
Well, of course, we had great games with Dublin over the years when I was in charge of Kerry, and let's hope that will continue now here in Leinster, you know. So it'd be nice if we got a turn at the top, but I'm afraid we might have to wait a little bit longer.
Well, almost a dramatic equaliser from Colm O'Rourke, but just when we thought we were all headed back to Croke Park next Saturday, well, up stepped Jack Sheedy to save us all the trouble. So it's Dublin then who go forward to a Leinster final meeting with Kildare, that game on the 25th of this month. Let's take a look at the statistics from today's game. Now, in a game as tight as this was, the team who kicked the greater number of wides are entitled to look back at some of those misses and wonder if, well, perhaps on a different day. Meath hitting 4 more wides than Dublin on the day. In a game as tense as this was, it's not too surprising that there were a high proportion of frees, 59 in all, Meath conceding 5 more than Dublin. Well, a slightly different analysis of that game coming up, more by nature of a chat with our regular panellist, Colm O'Rourke, on the events of the 70 minutes. Colm, first of all, thank you very much for coming in to join us on what obviously is a difficult situation for you. Disappointing, of course, to lose, but I suppose even more so when you lose to the last kick of the game, basically.
Yes, it's a big disappointment, and I'm sure all Meath people are a bit down tonight, and Meath players in particular, but one has to give credit to Dublin. They went through the same thing 2 years ago, and you know, we won it with a David Beggy point after 4 games, so they know how we feel, and to be fair to them, they were very, very gracious in victory.
If you can a little bit step back from the game and look at the overall play for the 70 minutes, it was tense, it was exciting. It wasn't actually great football, though.
I suppose not. It's very difficult when you're playing in a game sometimes to actually know what the game is like, and games between Meath and Dublin are usually very hard fought. A lot of the time the football wouldn't be top quality, but I think the crowd enjoyed through the sheer effort and intensity and excitement that it brings.
I know this might be a hard question, but looking back on the game now, do you think, I mean, obviously you think that Meath deserved to win, but do you think that you were good enough to win on the day, or were Dublin deserving winners?
Well, I think we often played worse against Dublin and beat them, and I think in the 4-game saga 2 years ago, Meath probably didn't play as well as they did at times today, and yet we come out the wrong side of it. And yeah, in fairness to Dublin, like, they've had their hard times against us, and they kept hanging in there, I thought it was over until Jack Sheedy popped up at the point. But like, you know, we don't complain about things like that. You know, Dublin deserved their break as much as anybody else.
Sure. With a game where there was always only a couple of points in it, one way or the other, a goal would always be crucial in it. Now, it was Dublin that got the goal. We're going to take another little bit of a look back at this column. And your thoughts when this ball went into the back of the net at that stage?
Well, it was a bad kick out, and the ball was fed through to Jack Sheedy, who was on the run, and gave it into Charlie. And, you know, Charlie really stuck it away very well. I think no goalkeeper would have stopped it. It probably would be a bit disappointed with the lead up to it, but
sure.
you know, the final shot and everything else.
A great kick by Charlie, but a few gaps in front of him, Colin.
Plenty of gaps, but the fellas were going out to meet the player coming through, so you know, that's the way. Dublin are always likely to get a goal against us, and you know, Charlie Redmond did the business for them today. Yeah,
perhaps if it was a lesser team against Dublin in that circumstances, they would have folded, but Meath certainly wouldn't do that. You fought back very well, and perhaps played some of your best football after that.
Yeah, we had a strong breeze at that time, and even though we were 5 points behind, I think, at that stage, I was still fairly happy that we could come back and make a good fight of it, and we did that. I think we got 4 points in a row after that, and we played very, very, very well. I think a lot of our younger players played exceptionally well at that stage. Maybe some of the old campaigners let them down a little bit.
Well, I'm not too sure about that today, but when you kicked that point at the end of the match, time was almost up at that stage. What were your own thoughts, Colin, as the ball went over the bar? Do you think we had another draw?
Yes, I was fairly sure that the game was over. I had checked it on the clock behind the Canal goal, and I had sort of figured that the game was over, and I thought we were in for another replay. I think we were fairly happy, obviously, that the ball had gone over the bar and that it looked like a replay. I don't think Dublin would have denied it. I think we had played fairly well today, and it's up to the referee to decide, I suppose. And he decided that he should play on a couple of minutes of added time, but I certainly thought by the clock behind the Canal goal it was over.
Well, I suppose in fairness to Tommy Howard, there was only a minute in it again when Jack Sheedy, less than a minute when Jack Sheedy scored that winning point. So it's, as you said, it's the referee's discretion. Question for you comes from Martin Rowe of Naas, County Kildare. Martin wants to know, how do you rate the final now between Dublin and Kildare?
Well,
are you interested?
I think that game today put football out of a lot of Meath players' heads for a while, but you know, again, we did it to Dublin, so I suppose it's a long road without a turn for them too.
Yeah,
and,
sure.
You know, the other thing about it too, Dublin were without Tommy Carr, without Paul Clark. Paul Beelan only came on as sub, and obviously was injured. Also without Paul Clark, so you know, if they had to lose today, they would have said, well, you know, we were severely understrength.
Yeah.
If we were missing players like that, I think we wouldn't have been able to give Dublin as good a game as we were able to give them.
Right. Marty Morrissey was pressing Sean Boylan on his future there in the interview a moment ago. Let me press you on yours. We're going to see you back again in the number 13 shirt next year?
Well, you know, the GA are looking for referees, and at this stage, maybe I get a job there.
All right, Colin, thank you very much again for the moment. Well, now, it's time to name our man of the match from today's game. Well, we had 4 of them from the previous championship encounter between Dublin and Meath. Well, just the one this time, and the recipient of the Festina Gold Watch from this game is... well, it's a little bit of consolation for Meath, and Colin O'Rourke did not pick the man of the match today, by the way. We felt that Meath wing-back Graham Geraghty was the most consistent player on the field for the 70 minutes, and so he is our selection from this game. And at this point, we take a commercial break. Still to come on the programme.